on to our next session by Vidwan Abhinand Sharma ji, and he'll be speaking on the topic Decoding Moksha Insights from Vedanta Kalpalatika. This is another work by Sri Madhusudana Saraswati ji. Just a brief introduction. Sri Abhinand Sharma ji is a learning and content development professional. He is currently working as a training manager in an MNC. He is a student of Vedanta for the past 2 decades, and he has studied Vedanta under Vidwan V. Subramanya Mahodaya. Besides Vedanta, he has also studied Rigveda Samhita and the Vedangas. He holds a dual master degree in engineering and chemistry and is also a qualified lawyer. A very warm welcome to you, Abhinandji. Thank you for making time for the session. Please go ahead and start your session.
धन्यवादः नितिन्जी. ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः. हरिः ओम. सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. मीमांसया कपटतो भुजगाम्ब एव स्वाधीनताम् उपनिषद्विनतेव नीता येनोद्धृता मृतफलेन गरुत्मतेव तस्मै नमो भगवते अद्भुतशङ्कराय. So this is the opening Mangala Shloka of this grantha called Vedanta Kalpalatika, authored by Srimad Madhusudana Saraswati. So, and you all have been blessed with this symposium of Madhusudana Saraswati's different texts and each scholar expounding on the same. So this is another small grantha authored by Madhusudana Saraswati, which talks of which is purely based on Vedanta. As usual, Sri Madhusudana Saraswati, in his unique approach to the Shastra, firstly quotes from other Shastras, the opponent's views, and then also gives the reason or the logic, which defeats the opponent's views, and then establishes the Parama Upanishadic Mata, that is the view of the Upanishads, that is the Advaita Vedanta. So this talk will be about how moksha is described in different Shastras in this Vedanta Kalpalatika Grantha, and what does the Vedanta Shastra actually define moksha as, and what indeed is moksha. So with this introduction, let me begin this talk with this. In this grantha's second mantra bhaga, the shloka bhaga, consists of this vakya: atha mokshe tat sadhane cha vipratipadyante vipaschitaha tatra. So it begins with, so many many scholars have different opinions of moksha. Madhusudana Saraswati says that many scholars have different opinions of moksha, but what is the actual meaning of moksha, and how have the other schools misinterpreted moksha or misunderstood the word of moksha, is going to be described below. So he begins with the Lokayatikaha or the Charvakaha. So Charvaka being the materialists, the word itself says it, Charvaka, whose words are very pleasing to hear, right? That is the Charvaka Darshana or the Lokayatika Darshana. Charvakas don't believe in Vedas, don't believe in rebirth or karma or any such thing, and they believe in whatever is obtained by direct perception. Whatever we perceive alone is truth. So they don't accept any other form of pramana like the anumana, the inference, or the verbal testimony, the shabda pramana, or any such thing. They are so much akin and addicted to this pratyaksha pramana that they go on to say that na pratyaksham pramanam. So that which is not directly perceivable is not a testimony at all, not an evidence at all. That is their approach towards life, towards philosophy. So here Madhusudana Saraswati quotes that because these Charvakas, they consider only what can be perceived. So what they don't see, they don't believe in. So there is no question of moksha in their own sense, because they think that the end of the body, that is the death of the body itself, is moksha, and they don't give any authority or anything to Vedas. That being the case, they would never believe in anything which is not being seen. So they won't believe in rebirth or karma theory or anything like that, and they would they would profess that you should live, enjoy your life, and ultimately you're going to die. So that is the only purpose of life. So that is to enjoy life is the only purpose of life. That is the pure present day material culture. So materialism, what we see today, is nothing but the Charvaka Darshana being being utilized to the maximum. Which is why we can see that most of the Shastrakaras, they refute so many schools of thought, not because they have to establish their own thought. It is because these thoughts, and not that by establishing their own thought, the other thoughts are going to end. These thoughts keep coming now and then as a cycle. So these thoughts, which are contrary to the opinion of the Vedas or the Upanishads, must be firmly addressed, and they should be addressed and also be declared to be against the Vedas, or they should be declared that they are incorrect opinions of Darshana, philosophy. So, to do that, even Srimad Madhusudana Saraswati quotes the other schools, refutes their ideology, and brings about the Vedanta ideology. So the Charvakas, there is no question of moksha because they don't believe that there is something apart from the body itself. They consider that the deha itself is the atma, the body itself to be the soul. This being the case, how can they even think of moksha? Moksha is for the person who thinks that he is bound to this body and he has to release himself from this bondage. Only for such a person, moksha can be taught. So when a person doesn't believe that this body is a bondage in itself, how will a question of liberation arise? That's why Charvaka Darshanas, that is the Lokayatika Darshana or the Charvaka Darshana, cannot cannot be used as the Darshana for attaining salvation, is what is being told here. This is the first refutation. The second refutation, within the Lokayatika, that is the Charvakas, the Lokayatikas, there is one more set of people who consider that there is no moksha, there is no, that is the deha itself is atma, but they also consider that they consider that this indriyas, that is the sensory organs, and the manas, the mind, and the pranam, the vital air, as the chetana, so as a sentient entity. So they consider that these are the atma, and they are equally, the word used by Saraswati Maharaj is vanchakaha, tathaiva vanchakaha. So they are as good a cheater as the Lokayatikas, because why is he using this such a strong word called cheater is because why do we call someone to be a cheater is when he has something. A cheater is someone who possesses something and he still lies, or doesn't want to part with that thing whatever he has got, right? Say someone has offered me a monetary help of say 10,000 rupees, and then I take the money from him, and then I go on to tell that I have not borrowed any money from this person, then I am a cheater. It's because I am possessing something which was given by this person, and I'm also claiming that I haven't taken possession of his money, and this whatever money is with me is my own money. So that this amounts to cheating, right? Similarly, the one who has got this atma and still tells that, and who knows that this atma is the everlasting Sachidananda Swarupa Paramatma, despite knowing this, one who tells that this atma is the manas prana, that is the mind, the sensory organs, and the vital force, he is as good as a cheater as this Charvakas, is what Saraswati Maharaj says through this second part of this shloka, of this grantha. Moving on, he refutes now the Vijnanavadis. So Vijnanavadis are within the Bodh Darshana. So a small introduction would help that in our Sanatana Dharma, there is Nastika and Astika Darshanas, twofold Darshanas. Astikas are those who believe in the pramana of Vedas, who believe in the Vedas, who believe in rebirth and the karma theory. And the Nastikas are the ones who don't believe in this Vedas or the karma theory or the rebirth cycle, that is a rebirth reincarnation cycle. So, amongst this Nastika Darshanas, there's Charvaka, Lokayatikas, which we just saw, and the Bauddha Darshana and the Jaina Darshana are the three main philosophies within this Nastika, the atheistic schools of Sanatana Dharma. So, among Buddhism, again, there are further divisions. So, each one, that is the two main divisions, Vijnanavadis and the Madhyamikas. So these two are being refuted here in the next part of this grantha. Vijnanavadinah to kshanika vijnana skandham dehendriyadi vyatiriktam atmavattvena manyamanaha. So these are the people, the Vijnanavadis are the ones who consider that Vijnana, that is a consciousness, is the final, that is the complete sensation of this consciousness. The Vijnana is what is called moksha. That is the whole buddhi which we have got, when that ceases to exist, that is when the moksha is achieved. This is what they also claim. They don't understand that beyond this buddhi, beyond this Vijnanamaya kosha, is this Anandamaya kosha, that which you should surpass, and then you get this Atma, which is a Paramatma, as per the Vedanta Shastra. So even here in this Vijnanavadi, the Vijnana Darshana also, because they consider moksha as the destruction of all impediments, all the obstacles to this Vijnana as the moksha, that again cannot be considered as moksha or a school which has a holistic approach towards darshana. So another point which has to be mentioned here in the Vijnanavadi and of course the upcoming Madhyamika Darshana also is Buddhas believe in the Shunyavada also. That is, everything is void, right? Void or Shunya. It is it is ultimately, it sums up to nothing, nothingness. The Madhyamikas and the Vijnanavadis profess that this is the final aim, that is to attain this nothingness is what is called moksha. So Madhyamika is also thereby refuted because they speak of salvation or moksha as this void as the ultimate truth of life. So they use the metaphysics, which is or the reductionist approach, and they come to the conclusion that this void or nothingness is the ultimate goal which we all have to achieve, the Parama Purushartha. And now, because there is nothing, this is of course refuted even by Bhagavad Padacharya in his Bhashya. Of course, I should add here that all these darshanas have been refuted by Bhagavad Padacharya also, but Srimad Madhusudana Saraswati in his own way, he has expounded on these refutations as well. So Bhagavad Padacharya says that if everything were to be shunya, if everything were to be nothingness, then what is the thing which actually exists is what we should contemplate about. If everything were shunya, then who is the person who's telling that everything is shunya? That person is also shunya. That is the approach. So a similar approach here, and the Madhyamika Darshana and the Vijnanavada Darshana is also refuted by Madhusudana Saraswati Maharaj. Further, he goes to the Jaina Darshana, the Arhataha, the Jainas, the school of Mahavira. They admit that this Atma, they give a size to the Atma. The Atma comes with a parimana. There's a measure for an Atma. That is, a person who is of my height or my weight would have the Atma of the same size as me, as my Atma. And a person as small as an ant, or an ant would have the Atma of the size of the ant. And an elephant would have this size of the Atma size to be of an elephant to be the size of the elephant itself. So this is how the Jaina Darshana also is refuted here, because this itself gives way to their fallacy, telling that in case the elephant dies and takes a rebirth as an ant, then the whole of the elephant's atma should enter into the small body of this ant, right? So this being the case, they can never attain moksha. So, and the Jaina Darshana also consider 8 forms of karmic bandhana, the karma bandhana, which when given up makes this atma travel towards the lokakasha. They say that is they have the lokakasha, that is one one region in the space which is meant for the non-liberated individuals and another for the liberated individuals. So this Jaina Darshana believes that one who loses this eightfold attachment towards the karmas, he would move further up and go away from the lokakasha. That is not going to the lokakasha is mukti, is what they define mukti as, which again is being refuted here. That going to a loka, this has been further also you would see this refutation. So let me not spill the beans here. So further in the Karnada Darshan. Now this Madhusudana Saraswati is walking us through the Astika Darshanas. So in the Astika Darshana, there are 6 types of darshanas and various minor schools as well. So the 6 major darshanas are the theistic schools are Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, Yoga, and Purva Mimamsa and Uttara Mimamsa. So these there are the 3 pairs: the Nyaya, Vaisheshika, and Sankhya, Yoga, and Purva and Uttara Mimamsa. There are 3 pairs of the theistic school. Theistic school, again, let me remind that the schools which believe in the verbal testimony of the Vedas to be the supreme authority, and also they believe in rebirth and the karma theory as well. So now moving towards the Kanada Darshana, that is the Vaisheshika Darshana. Here again, the Kanada, that is the Vaisheshikas believe that this Atma is different from the Sharira, but what they say is they believe that this body, once you get the knowledge that this body is made up of dravyas, made up of elements, and through the help of Ishvaropasana Sahitat, Navanam Vaisheshika Gunanam Ragabhava Sahavrittihi Pradvamsa Eva Atmanaha Kaivalyam. Once this Atma is perceived, that is through the real knowledge, through the jnana which they claim to be the real knowledge, is coming out of the Dravya, Guna, Karma, Samanya, Vishesha. That is, the Vaisheshika Darshanas enlist different types of materials available in this world. Dravya, Guna, that Dravya is substance, Guna is quality, Karma is action, and Samanya, Vishesha are the uniqueness and the generality. And Samavaya is the Sambandha, that is the intimate relationship. Like for example, pot and clay are in a Samavaya relationship. That is, they are intimately related within it, right? So this is the various categories of objects, padarthas, as per Vaisheshika Darshana, are these which I just enlisted, the 6 of them. And then through this knowledge of these padarthas, you will realize that this Atma is, and through the knowledge of these padarthas and through worship of Ishvara, you will understand that the Atma is different from the dravyas which you just enlisted. And then once you realize that this Atma is beyond this dravyas, that's when the Kaivalya, or the salvation, is obtained. So here again, there is no mention, or there is no consideration of the Upanishadic Vakya like Aham Brahmasmi or Tattvamasi, where the Atma itself is the Brahma that is being neglected here, and the Atma staying on its own is considered to be the Mukta Swarupa. So this again wouldn't qualify for the Vedantic moksha, which we all are searching for. Moving ahead, in Nayayika, that is in the Nyaya Darshana, that is, as I said, Vaisheshika and Nyaya form a pair. The Nyaya Darshana, how they describe moksha is through logic and reasoning. When you realize that there are two Atmans, that is one Atma and Paramatma. And when you realize that, when you get this knowledge through the Padartha Jnana, the same Padartha Jnana, the knowledge of the Dravya, Guna, Karma, etc., which was mentioned in the Vaisheshika Darshana, Nayayikas also borrow that, and they also have something called Prameyas, that is the to be knowns or the nobles in their school of studies. They say that through vada, that is reasoning, debate, jalpa, vitanda, that is prattle, and incoherency, and hetu abhasa, that is incorrect reasoning, fallacy, and so many things. Chala, jati, nigra. So they have a set of logical approach towards establishing an argument. Through such logical approaches, when you realize that there are two Atmans, and once you realize this, that is the Atmajnana. That is, you'd put an end to all forms of misery, dukkha. That is what Nayayikas call as moksha. That is, end of all miseries is moksha. That itself is apavarga, or the moksha is what is being told in Nyaya Darshana. They don't consider that there is one Atma, which itself is a Sukha Swarupa, and there is no need for one person to and think that he is bound in this samsara and he has to overcome it, because the Atma itself is always free from both bondage and freedom. That is, Atma is Nitya Shuddha Vastu. They don't realize this, and also they don't realize another thing, that or the other they propose that there are two Atmas. That's one Paramatma and one Atma. So this Paramatma Atmas, the Dvaita Buddhi is also being refuted here, that there is only one Paramatma. Eko Devaha Sarva Bhuteshu Gudaha, the Vedic Shruti Vakya. They don't consider that Vakya Pramana, and they discard even Mahavakyas like Aham Brahmasmi Tatvamasi, and even other Vakyas like Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. Everything is the Paramatma Swarupa only, Brahma Swarupa only. They refute this as well, and thus their moksha is coming out of all miseries. Is what they define as moksha. They don't understand that the self itself is Brahman, and removal of this ignorance of the true nature of self itself is moksha. These two are something which the Nayayikas cannot digest, and hence their Vedantic, their moksha in their scheme of things would never be the true form of moksha. Further ahead, within the fold of Nyaya and some portion of Mimamsa, some schools, there are various minor schools. Apart from these 6 which I just enlisted, there are some minor schools. Amongst them, one such school of thought believes in continuous performance of the Nitya Karmas, the karmas which have to be done, mandatory karmas which have to be done, and also the Naimitika karmas, some karmas which you'll have to do as an nimitta, that is, an occasion would occasional rites. That is, some occasion, like say we would have an eclipse. At that time, you have to do tarpana and even do japa and all those things. So there would be an amavasya, that is new moon day, where you have to do shraddha. All these are the naimitika karmas. So the nitya naimitika karmas anusthana, that is, by doing this nitya karmas and naimitika karmas, by avoiding the kamya karmas, that is the karmas with desire hidden in them. That is, one does, we would have seen in Srimad Ramayana that Dasharatha performs the Putra Kameshtiya. That is a Kamya karma. That he desired a progeny, so he performed the Putra Kameshtiya. By doing this Kamya karmas, he would get Janmas. So the best way to escape from this birth-death cycle is to avoid doing this Kamya karma, avoid doing even the Nishiddha karma, prohibited actions, right, prohibited karmas, and do only the Nitya Naimittika karmas, thereby ensuring that you need not, because you don't, if you don't do this Nitya Naimittika karma, you would get a sin, and to face the sin, you'll have to take another birth. So please perform this Nitya Naimittika karma and avoid doing the Nishiddha, prohibited, and the Kamya karma. So this is one school of thought. This would help you to see that there is no rebirth, right? Because you are not doing anything with desire, and at the same time, the present Janma, you are doing the karmas enough to cleanse the sins performed in this own Janma. That is the Nitya Naimittika karma. This also again is being pointed out as an incorrect understanding, because what happens here is, in this philosophy, there is no assurance, there is no guarantee that a person would never do any prohibited karma. So in the Bhashya, Srimad Acharya says this thing. So nipunanam api sukshma aparatha darshanat. So even a very wise man would somehow yield to do a small mistake. He might commit even a small mistake. So there is no assurance that you will never do any prohibited karma. At the same time, there is no assurance that you cannot do any kamya karma. Right? Even a basic act like I get up and go have my lunch. That itself is a kamya karma, because I'm desiring that my hunger should be satiated. So this again is an incorrect approach to moksha. Further, in the Mimamsa Darshana, in the Purva Mimamsa Darshana considers Vedas as the supreme authority. They don't even give that status to God. They don't accord that much of importance to God as they accord it to the Vedas itself. So the Prabhakara and the Bhatta Matas are two schools within the Mimamsa Darshana, propounded by Prabhakara Acharya and the Kumarila Bhattacharya. And so according to their schools, they believe that firstly, by performing the karmas and then understanding that this Atma is different from the Deha and Indriya, that is from the body-mind complex. Once when this dharma, that is the papa punya, ceases to exist, that itself is the moksha, is the prabhakara mata. And the bhatta mata is, they believe the jnana karma samuchaya. It is performance of both karma, and at the same time, this jnana alone will lead you to this atma jnana. This is called jnana karma samuchaya. That is, jnana and karma both go hand in hand, and they both should be performed together. Right? So this is refuted by Lord Krishna himself in Bhagavad Gita, and nahi jnanena sadrusham pavitram sadrusham iha vidyate. So there's nothing more purifying like jnana. Right? And karma itself will lead you to janmas, is what even Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Of course, Bhagavad Padacharya in his Bhashya, Sri Madhusudana Saraswati in his Bhashya for Bhagavad Gita, the Jnana Karma Samuchaya is dealt and totally refuted as the right approach to moksha. Moksha in the Bhatta Mata is through Jnana Karma Samuchaya. You would realize that the Nitya Sukha, you would realize the Nitya Jnanam, and that itself is Mukti, is what they believe. That is, it would lead you to no stage of rebirth, and that itself is moksha, is what they believe. But again, here they don't consider the Paramatma to be the Astitva, Paramatma to be the only true entity. They believe that the Jiva will continue to perform karma, and then once he gets this jnana, there's no merging with the Brahman, or becoming one with Brahman, and all those things are not dealt with. Further, within the Bhattamata only, some people believe that, having eternal bliss in the mind or removal of all forms of sorrow, misery in the mind, that itself is mukti. Here again, because this doesn't hold good with the Vedantic Vakyas, right? There is a state when even Yatra Veda Veda, that is, there is even the Vedas become uh, unreal at one point. That is when a person attains the Brahma Jnana, even the Vedas cease to exist for him. For such a person, he's only the Atma in everything, and everything within his own Atma. So this, by this logic, even this school within the Bhatta school, the sub school of Bhatta school, is also refuted. Further, coming closer towards the Advaita Vedanta is the Sankhya Darshana. So everywhere you can see, even in Bhagavad Padacharya's works also, that he refutes Sankhya Darshana to the best, to all his might. That's because there's this one Nyaya, one approach in Vedanta, where, by making the strongest contender, defeat, by defeating the strongest contender, all other weaker contenders also get defeated. Sankhya being closest to this Vedanta Darshana, okay, everyone tries to disprove their logic. Their logic is Prakriti Purusha Viveka. That is, there is one Prakriti and one Purusha. And once you realize that you are the Purusha not belonging to the Prakriti, that's when you would get this Kaivalya, or you would get this salvation. So that is, by coming out through this dukkha, misery, you understand that you are free from Prakriti. That itself would give you moksha. Further, in the Patanjala Darshan, all these are again sub schools and smaller schools within the Astika Darshanas. So, in the Patanjala, there is a Yoga Darshana. I'm sorry, this is not the sub school. The Patanjala is a Yoga Darshana. Sankhya, Sankhya Darshana doesn't consider God to exist. Patanjala Darshana considers Ishvara to exist. So, it's called Seshwara Sankhya also. In that Patanjala Yoga Darshana, Mukti is defined as Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. So that itself would, that is, ensuring that through Yama Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi, all those eightfold yogas, which most of us would know, ensuring that the vacillations of the mind, the variations within the mind, if they are put into control, that itself is, and entering into the Asamprajnata Samadhi, that itself is moksha. That is their definition of moksha. Then there is some, from now onwards, a few sub schools of Astika Darshana. The Tridandis, sorry, that is the one with those who have three dandas, the three masks which sannyasis take. Sannyasis with three masks. So generally, we see sannyasis with a single stick with them. These are the ones which have three sticks with them. So they believe in this Bheda. Right? They believe that this Jiva and the Brahma are, they are both different and also indifferent. They say that salvation or this moksha comes through, again, Jnana Karma Samuchaya. They also believe in that, and they also believe in merging of that part which has been differentiated because of this karma, jnana, and all those things, with the one which the with the Brahman. That itself is Brahma Jnana or moksha is what they say. Okay. One with the one part which is different from the Brahman, the Atma's one part which is different from Brahman, merging of that part with the Brahman itself is mukti, or is salvation, is what they define. Again, we see that they consider that there is one part of Jiva which is not Brahman, so that itself defies Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. And on the same line, some people believe that, attaining this Parameshwara Prapti. So they consider that attaining this Parameshwara, that is the Supreme Personality, that itself is Mukti. Here again, attaining any any loka is also not a form of Mukti. That will come further ahead. And also, there is some of them who believe that like how waves, that is like how a sea has two different states, one with waves and one without waves. Likewise, there is one Jiva and one Brahman, and the Jiva is the one with waves and Brahman is one without waves. Attaining of this Taranga, that is attaining of this Atma, this waves with the no wave zone of the sea, that itself is the salvation. Next, there are couple of matas, the Pashupata Mata and the Vaishnava Mata, and also the Pashupata Mata, Vaishnava Mata, and the Panchagni Mata. So they all believe that attaining the loka of this their respective gods. The Pashupata believes in attaining Lord Shiva, that is entering the Shiva loka, Kailasha, and the Vaishnavas believe in reaching the Vaikuntha, and the Panchagni Mata believes in attaining this Hiranyagarbha. Here again, this is where the major refutation comes, that going to any loka is not something which will confer liberation. Right? If you are going to a loka, that means you are taking a birth in that loka. If you have taken a birth in that loka, there should be a death in that loka. Then once you have death there, or you face death there, you'll have to take one more janma elsewhere. So this itself is defies common logic. So all these three schools, the Pashupata and the Vaishnava and the Panchagni Upasakas, are all refuted here. Likewise, then there are so many other small schools which Madhusudana Saraswati doesn't quote individually. Finally, he establishes this Upanishadic view, Upanishad Mata, that is the Vedanta Mata, where he tells that Mukti is attaining this Atma, realizing that this Atma itself is the Paramatma. He uses the word the Nilachala Narayana, that is the Nilachala Nivasi Narayana, Srimad Narayana. Attaining this God is nothing but realizing that this Atma itself is Paramatma. Coming out of this ignorance that this Atma is the Sharira, Deha, and coming out of this Avidya itself is Mukti, is what the Upanishads say. That's what Bhagavad Padacharya says, and that's what Madhusudana Saraswati also reconfirms here. So by refuting all these schools, he establishes this Atma Vidya, Vedanta Vidya, Vedantic Moksha, and he uses this idea because most of us in our own spiritual sadhana, we think that moksha could be like this, could be like that. So many of us think that going to Vaikuntha could be moksha. All those things have to be refuted again and again, which is why both Bhagavad Padacharya and even Madhusudana Saraswati, they have taken it up as their biggest task to refute these ideologies to the best possible extent. And they have also done their best to establish this Vedantic Mata of Atma Vidya also. I think this comes to an end of my talk. So yeah, thank you very much. Thank you, Nika Moksha, for this opportunity, and I pay my namaskarams and pranams to Sri Madhusudana Saraswati once again, and thank you very much. Dhanyavada.
Thank you very much, Abhinandji, for sharing a detailed overview of a very less known text authored by Sri Madhusudana Saraswati. Thank you very much for a wonderful session.